This is Political Arena on S24 Television. I am your host, Abubakar Shraki. Ahead of 2027 general elections, political activities are already gaining attention as the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar picked former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amaechi as his running mate under the African Democratic Congress ADC. The decision has generated discussion about the strength of the opposition and the chance of the new political partnership. Today, we look at what this means for Atiku and the ADC and the Nigeria's future election ahead of 2027. This afternoon, I am joined by my guest, a public analyst, Mr. Charles. Welcome to Political Arena on S24 Television.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's actually a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
Same here. I would always come back,
So, Mr. Charles, speak to me as a concerned Nigerian and a public analyst. What is your take on Atiku Abubakar picking Rotimi Amaechi as his running mate? And after Atiku Abubakar emerged as the ADC presidential flag bearer, we saw how he has been going around consoling those people that he defeated. Yeah. We saw his pictures with Hayatuddin, and subsequently we saw his picture with Amaechi. What does that mean to our democracy?
Well, before saying anything on that, Atiku, you can't take it away from him. Atiku is a fantastic politician. Whether that has favored him or not favored him in recent times is a different kettle of fish. But his choice of Amaechi tries to tell you the kind of balance that he really, really needs to be able to put in place. It seems as if it's going to be a repeat of what had happened in the last political dispensation, as it were, where you had Tinubu on one side, you have Peter Obi and another person on one side, and then you have Atiku and another. Yeah, so the principal people are still the ones that are there. What would now make Omar for all of them is the choice of the vice president, the running mate. And you can see that even in those that's the APC where everything seems to be settled. You're able to hear from the grapevine people talking about there could be a replacement of the vice president. So it's also the same thing. I think one person that is just certain as at this point is the Peter Obi team, where himself and Kwankwaso.
The OK ticket.
Yeah, yes, of course, the OK ticket, actually. So you see, for him to be able to get this is also to try to see how they can balance up this. If you look at the South, Obi is already from the Southeast. If you look at the Tinubu, the APC ticket, Tinubu is from the Southwest. So as it is, the South is what is not represented anywhere, as it were. So he is from the Northeast, that's Atiku Abubakar. So he gets the South, so he's able to now see, okay, this is how you can balance up this thing. Don't also forget that it might be like some kind of correction of what many people term as a political blunder before, where in the last election, people felt he was supposed to take Wiki from the South, and he did not. So this time around, he's like, okay, let me still go back and be able to get. If you're going to count two strong men in politics from the South, Amaechi definitely,
of course, he has a strong political record.
Yeah, he has. Being 2 times a speaker, 2 times
minister,
and
a governor.
2 times governor. What else can he aspire to be?
Of course.
At least the only thing left for him is the presidency. If he doesn't get that, at least if he doesn't get the moon, he might get the stars, which would be the vice president.
If he doesn't get the moon, he get the star. Yes. Well, but Mr. Charles, looking at how the APC have been so desperate to win the 2027 elections, we recently saw a verdict given by Justice Lee Fu, which subsequently the Supreme Court have actually stopped that verdict by Justice Lee Fu. Don't you think that ADC may likely not make a difference because the ruling party are so adamant to continue ruling ahead of 2027? And we saw how they are actually, by hook, like, and sinker, welcoming some Dekampi into their own political party. Do you think 2027 election is going to be free, fair, credible, and acceptable?
I really, really doubt. I really doubt it's going to be free, fair, and acceptable, because what has even happened in the last one was nothing short of free, fair, and credible. What has happened when the primaries, when we have the new laws, the electoral laws, that, okay, this is how the primaries are supposed to go, is far from what is free, fair, and credible. What has happened in Ekiti last week is far from, recently, to me, it's still far from free, fair, and credible, because if you look at the numbers, that is not how numbers actually come out. And this kind of thing actually brings you back to places where APC was even contesting against nobody. That's their internal
primaries.
I mean, look at the presidential primaries. Why would he had no opponent in his party? He's the president. He's the person that calls the shot.
He's the sole candidate.
He's the sole candidate because the other person was just put there for cosmetics, in as far as I am concerned. But look at how massively the figures were rigged in his favor. Because I'll say rigged because I was there on ground in places where no election took place, no primary election took place, and then the numbers were thrown out, looking at 10 million people and all that. So it really bothers me that if we are going to continue to go with the way we've been going with the primaries, with now the election inequity and all that, and of course how the federal government through the APC government is trying to arm twist all the political parties. They say, no, you register this. No, these ones are not going to be. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing for democracy in Nigeria.
So you mean it's high time for like international organizations to step in ahead of 2027?
Can they do anything? Because it's been a long time.
We saw what happened in 2015 when the incumbent president loses election.
Yeah, of course. That's a spectacular time. That was a very, very admirable thing to happen within our democracy. These things have happened in America, but people always tell you if someone that's incumbent can never go down. But once you see things like that, you get encouraged. If you look at cases like even what happened in Ekiti with Farishe before, he did 4 years and then someone won and then he came back again. Even in Kano, it had happened with Kwankwaso. In places like Adamawa, it had happened with Bindo. In places like Bauchi, yes. So these are the things that
even Lagos,
Ambode. Yes, Ambode, yes, yeah. Of course. But of course, Lagos own is a very suspicious case because once you match the leg of an elephant, something happens to you. So that wasn't really strictly like this is what the people said they did not want. It was what the powers that be that said, no, you're not going to continue with this after these 4 years. Somebody else is going to take over. And that is what we should be very, very careful about. That someone from up there will stand and take decision that is actually the right of the people to be able to take, and someone else will call the shots and make sure that it happens against the will of the people. Now that's dangerous.
Mr. Charles, this boils down to my next question. Apart from like President Muhammadu Buhari, may his soul continue to rest in peace.
Yeah.
There is no any prominent northern politician apart from Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah.
Don't you think that the presence of Atiku Abubakar and picking Amaechi as his running mate, don't you think that this is going to give him like an added advantage this time around? Because Kwankwaso, he's now running on a joint ticket with Obi. And Tinubu, he's going to run under the platform of the APC.
Yes.
While Atiku Abubakar, he's the sole candidate in the northern Nigeria as far as northerners are concerned.
Yes.
Don't you think that joint ticket is going to give a tough time to the ruling party?
Well, sure. I'm sure it's going to do that. It's going to, and that's what I'm sure Atiku has been able to look at, to be able to make sure that, okay, if we are able to get to, don't forget that Amaechi is also revered in the corners. He was a very good ally to the former President Buhari. You know how they even gave him a title in Daura, where he had his, exactly. Yes. So that's the title. So even that will play out because a lot of people have seen how, while he was Minister for Transportation, was able to now see how things can actually work when it comes to the issue of transportation. The
Transportation University also established in Daura.
Exactly. So all these things will play a greater part, especially again coming with the fact that a lot of people in the north are beginning to have a lot of misgivings about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and of course somehow his vice president has not been able to diffuse that. Maybe because he's from the northeast.
Well, they say the vice president is more or less like a spare tire.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to even go into that, but at least he should be, being from the north, he should be able to diffuse all the tension where people are like, no, we are not going to do Tulumbu like they always say.
Mr. Charles, before we wrap it
Yes.
a day, Mr. Charles, speak to me as a public analyst. What is your take on that joint Muslim ticket?
Okay. Well, as a public analyst, I had no problem, or I have no problem when you come with same religion tickets and all that. Maybe because of sensibilities. Before we didn't have that issue because we had the Kingi base, we had the Abiola.
Yeah,
And
Abiola,
no
that was
one
93.
noticed. Yes, no one noticed, nobody. And that was because at that time, a lot of our leaders had a lot of integrity. But coming up now to do these things, a lot of things have happened. So much water has passed under the bridge that it becomes a problem to the sensibilities of a lot of people. So most times, fairness should be seen to be done, not
Mr.
actually.
Charles,
Yes.
in less than a minute,
Yes.
speak to Nigerians ahead of 2027 in ensuring Nigerians go for the credible person, irrespective of religion and political party.
Well, a lot of people are beginning to get disenfranchised, and there's going to be a lot of voter apathy. In the last election, it was about 20-something%. I'm talking to Nigerians that we should come out en masse. People that have just turned to 18 should make sure nothing stops them from getting their PVCs, so that this time around, if we are going to come out 50 to 55 to 60% to vote, there is no rigging machinery that can stand against Nigerians.
Thank you so much for speaking to S24 Television,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Charles. It's a pleasure speaking to you always.
Thank you very much.
And I pray Nigeria will be great.
Amen. That's our prayer.
And that is what we have this afternoon on Political Arena. Don't forget, Nigeria is our only country we have, and it is our own major to take everything possible to make Nigeria better, governable, and peaceful ahead of 2027. Thank you, and bye for now.